New at 10, a community is calling for major safety changes to a railroad crossing in Scottsboro. It follows a horrific crash on the tracks at North Kyle Street that sent 4 people to the hospital. The railroad crossing has no lights and no crossing gates. WAFF 48's Nick Ballinger is on your side tonight in Scottsboro, asking city leaders if change will come.
Margot, Scottsboro Mayor Jim McCamey says he's already spoken to leaders at Norfolk Southern, the company that uses these tracks. He says there needs to be more warnings here at this intersection, but he says it's not the city's decision to make. The only warning to drivers that a train is crossing North Kyle Street in Scottsboro is the train itself. There are no lights or stop arms, just stop signs on both sides of the track. For Tammy Prado, who lives right next to the tracks, she says the rumbling of the train isn't the only sound she hears every night.
And I heard, just the tin sounding crash. You can't get the sound out of your head of children screaming, and you don't know if they've been mangled or what happened. 2
of those screams belong to J.W. Highfield and Gage Fry, who were 2 of the 4 people hospitalized after a Norfolk Southern train hit their car in January. Their grandmother remembers the night vividly.
My daughter-in-law called me, and she was crying so hard I could barely understand. And then I had to go in and tell my daughter and call my sister and tell them that my son had been hit by a train.
Her message tonight was for the city council and the mayor.
Get the road shut down or at least get some guards up. I about buried my son and my grandkids. I about had to plan my son's funeral because they don't care. If it was one of their kids, they'd care.
But Mayor Jim McCamey says he does care and he sees the problem himself.
Because you can't see at that crossing, you really can't.
But not everyone believes changes are needed.
I've lived here 16 years and I come across this every day and I have never had any kind of problem. I don't get too close to that railroad, but I get close enough so I can look both ways and see.
Because of a building blocking the view of the tracks, drivers have to pull past the stop sign to see if a train is coming from one direction. Mayor McCamey says it's ultimately the railroad company's decision to add safety measures.
It's their right of way, they control it, they're the ones responsible for putting up the lights and crossing on it.
I reached out to Norfolk Southern to ask if there would be any changes to this crossing. A spokesperson told me, quote, decisions about things like warning devices are up to local road authorities, not railroads, end quote, which has neighbors now calling on Norfolk Southern and the Alabama Department of Transportation.
What's more cheaper? Safety gates or a funeral,
Mayor McCamey says along with Norfolk Southern, he will be speaking to the Alabama Department of Transportation, but he's not sure yet when a decision will be made. In Scottsboro, Nick Ballinger, 48 News, on your side.